Welcome back to Actual Proper Podcast. I'm Reece Farkash. With me is Twila Amato, and it is a wonderful holiday season. As of recording this, we are midway between Christmas and New Year.
Yes.
And it's been a really interesting time, so we wanted to talk about the holiday season this year, as well as the holiday season in general, because it's always a fun topic to talk about. And we also watched The Mandalorian Season 2.
Finally.
We also watched a bunch of other movies recently, so maybe we'll talk about those in future episodes. Sure. But that'd be really fun. Oh, we watched Knives Out, and that was super fun, and we should definitely talk about it next episode.
All right. It's not quite a holiday season kind of movie, but it's so good.
So next episode, let's talk a little bit about Knives Out.
All right. Well, why don't you kick us off? So Christmas in 2020.
Yeah. What has it been like so far? I'm sure everyone knows already, but I think it's just always cool to get unique observations. And we're also going to be talking about the aspects that aren't different this year.
Yeah.
So starting off, have you noticed that the weeks leading up to Christmas, like going to stores wasn't as hectic as they were in previous years, like looking for gifts or shopping or whatever?
I definitely have noticed a slight kind of decrease in in-person shopping. Definitely. I do feel like the malls were a whole lot more packed in, like you said, the weeks and even days leading up to Christmas, just with last minute shopping and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like a lot of people have, they've definitely stayed away from physical shops and the mall and stuff like that. And a lot of people have actually ordered online. And it's funny. And I know that a lot of people have ordered online just, based on friends, just talking to them and just, them saying that, yeah, we've ordered all our gifts online and we've just sent them off to our friends, family and stuff like that. But also, a lot of people that I know who have ordered a lot of things for themselves, right? It's been, almost a month now.
Backlog.
Yeah, it's been a month now, and they still haven't received their stuff from like way back in November. And that's because particularly Canada Post, right? That's all we can really speak to. But Canada Post has had such a huge backlog of parcels. It's crazy.
When I was on Amazon a few weeks before Christmas, they were like, order your gifts now so that they get there in time for Christmas, because it's going to be crazy. But like, even then, the expected dates were like mid-January. So
yeah,
what was the point?
Yeah, exactly. It's you're just going to give your friends and family like pictures of what their presents were supposed to look
exactly.
like.
I think this year is very much a physical gift year. That you go out and buy for people rather than order online.
Yeah, no, it's been very, very weird. But I don't know, like, I feel like, I mean, obviously with the pandemic, right, there's just been a general decrease in people actually going into the stores, right? So it's not just the days leading up to Christmas, really. But even on Boxing Day, surprisingly, there weren't a lot of people in the mall either.
Exactly, yeah. I also think that because of the financial situation of a lot of people this year, a lot of families just aren't doing gifts, and that's totally fair.
Or I guess not as extravagant or not as plentiful as they usually do.
Yeah.
No, that's totally fair, and I do agree with that. I do see that, but yeah, I don't know. I do think that yes, the financial aspect of it does have something to do with it, but I don't know.
Overall, we've seen a decrease in how busy shops are at this time of year.
Yeah. So that's been a change, I feel.
What is Christmas like not being in person with everyone? Because this was a first for us and many people out there.
Personally, for me,
sure.
You
don't have, not too personal.
Right. But I will say that obviously there were some lonely parts to it, especially coming from a bigger family like myself, where, everybody descends
Yeah, such a big
upon one
extended
home.
family.
And then, you all have this massive dinner and gathering and then gifts and stuff like that. It's not just really about the gifts. It's the fact that, like, there's this huge gaggle of people in one place. And that was always really, like, it's kind of fun. It's exhausting, but it's kind of fun. Right? But I feel like after the year that we've had, I really craved a quiet holiday season.
Mm-hmm. You went like the opposite of people wanting to see everyone.
To see people, yeah. For me, I think, obviously this has a lot to do with the fact that, I'm always like this throughout this pandemic. Of course, I'm grateful for it. I was working through it all, right? But also on top of that, I work in news, and obviously there's a lot of people involved in there. The office is full of people. I interact with people outside of the office.
Because your office notoriously does not want to work from home.
But it's also the fact that, like, I think it's also just the influx of all that information, and everything just having to do with COVID and just news in general. It was just a lot. And I really, really, really wanted just to, like, chill out at home, see no one, do nothing. That's it. And I got that, and I feel like that was really,
it's a very quiet holiday season
for me. That was a blessing in disguise. And it's so funny because,
but it's also, like, at the same time, maybe it's reinforcing bad habits to, like, continue being alone and stuff instead of, like, going back to a little bit of I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but maybe it's a bad habit in the sense that
you just want to be a homebody all the time.
You just you're just continuing to feel like, a little bit more of a homebody. I mean, maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's like a trap.
I don't know. I can't say it's really a trap. I've always been a homebody. I've always really liked. Like,
maybe you're liking it too much now, is what I mean.
No, I wouldn't say that, because I do feel lonely. Like, I do feel like, oh my gosh, I want to go out there, have fun, do stuff, like all the seasonal stuff. Like, I love checking out winter markets, like Christmas markets and stuff like that. I love doing that. I love seeing the lights. I love going skating. We haven't been able to do any of that stuff because all of that's canceled. But, at the same time, again, I think just the feeling of being burnt out, especially this year, because I'm not saying that, like, news on a general basis, makes me feel this way. It doesn't really, because, you get used to the grind of the day and the news cycle and stuff like that. But I think it's just this COVID situation, because it's not just affecting you from a professional perspective. It affects you on a personal level as well, right? And I think that was the biggest part for me, is this all encompassing thing that I can't just leave in my office and then, like, come back home and I'm okay and I'm detached from it, because I come home and it's still there.
Right.
I still have to be careful. I still have friends who don't have jobs, or, you know what I mean?
Or me.
Or you.
Well, and I'm the opposite of your situation, where you feel like you want to be at home even more. I'm just, like, so
dreading being home.
Yeah.
Well, that's
because
different,
I've been
right?
at home for the past year, like, every single day.
Yeah. So that's a little different. So I'm not I don't know, like, so personally for me, like, I've really liked the holiday season where there is a time limit to, I guess, the gatherings we've had, where it's just FaceTime and it's all up to my phone's battery. If it's dead, it's dead. Bye. That's that. You know what I mean? Like, that's been really nice for me. Don't get me wrong. I love my family. Like I said, I miss them. I would have loved to see them this holiday season, but
you're someone who gets overwhelmed very quickly.
Especially with social interactions, I think, and prolonged exposure to, like, social interaction, that really just, like,
your batteries drain so fast.
Yeah, and I'm just generally an anxious person, and people make me anxious, and so as much as I love people, I'm just like, okay, enough is enough. I need to stay home, and that's been like that for me, and that's why I've really liked kind of like this distance, where we were all forced to stay home, and we were all just, like,
there's, like, a barrier
on FaceTime and Zoom.
And a distance.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been really nice. But I mean, what about you? I'm sure that has been quite lonely for you.
Yeah, it's just, Zoom and everything, it's just not quite the same, honestly. Like, it's
Fair
good,
enough,
but it's
yeah.
not the same as real human interaction.
Fair
So
enough.
I can't say it's benefited a ton. It is nice, of course, but yeah, it's just not the same anymore, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of this sad truth. But overall, the holiday season, I mean, I'm still able to spend it with my loved ones, and it's still amazing. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it was really, really great.
It was still a very good, because I think at the end of the day, you try, as with everybody else, right? You try to make the most of what
And
you're
make it so
dealt.
special.
Exactly, and you try to make it as special as you possibly can. And I think we've really tried our best in making it special. So I'm more than satisfied with how it turned out, really. So yeah.
Wow, that's COVID Christmas talk.
I mean, I'm sure it's been really hard for a lot of people. I mean, I know that a lot of people have had to make tough decisions and tough calls when it comes to, calling their friends and family and being like, look, we're not coming for Christmas. And there is backlash in that, but just know that you've done the right thing. And you're not alone in
Correct. Sticking to your guns in this sense
Yeah.
is very good. But
Yeah.
also my heart really goes out to the people because, like, I've been at home so much this past year, but at least I've had you this whole time. And over the holiday season, I wasn't alone. And, like, my heart really goes out to everyone who lives alone and has had to go through the holiday season alone.
Absolutely. And I think, see, here's the thing, because, again, even as someone who is more of a homebody, it's not just about being at home, really. It's about doing the things you want whenever you want to do them, right?
Right.
And
Some
that
freedom.
includes obviously going out to eat all by yourself, going shopping by yourself and stuff like that. I enjoy doing all those things. Especially when I was, when I was on my own and I didn't have you. And, I really liked doing that stuff. I liked my own company doing those things. So I would sit at a cafe literally and just do homework or read. But now you can't even do that. And I think that's what kills people, right? And that's what's been really harsh on people's mental health is even though you're, an introvert and a homebody, just the fact that you're just within the same four walls every single day, that's really hard. And that gets very claustrophobic so quickly. So I absolutely get that. So despite the fact that me, like, all of me just like taking up all this time saying that, like, I just want to go home. And I have had enough of people. It's not really about the social interaction. It's just the freedom to do stuff and to travel even, right? Because, like, you can't do any of that stuff now. Yeah. And there's this massive government mandate that, like, asking you to stay home.
Right.
That's hard.
But anyway, good news after that. That really sad talk. The good news is that
there is a vaccine coming, or two vaccines.
It is here.
Yeah,
it is here. It's already making
rolling
the rounds of the most at-risk people, and eventually sometime next year. Yeah, eventually sometime next year, it'll be available for everyone. But before then, we'll start to see a lot of improvement and a lot of less risk, I guess. It's sad to talk about human lives as data, but like some dying is better than
everybody
a lot more dying. Yeah, it's very sad to talk like that, but at least the most at-risk people, the most vulnerable among us, will be okay. So I think, of course, a lot of stuff is gonna gradually start getting we'll start getting a little bit more leeway, at least.
Yeah, no, for sure. And things will start opening back up. And, obviously, local economies will start to recover.
Yeah.
And jobs will start to come back. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I am quite hopeful. Again, this news of the vaccines coming does make me feel hopeful,
It very much so.
So.
Well, it's already here.
Yeah,
it's coming for the general public, but it's already doing its work.
It's already they already have their clinics and stuff like that. So, I am quite happy about it. It's
Finally.
I just feel like, dude, this year has just been a wild ride.
Yeah, it does feel so much better though, knowing that a vaccine is here and they're doing something rather than being like
Twiddling.
waiting on the
Yeah,
vaccine. Like, is there ever going to be one? Like, one exists and it's getting around.
Two
It's
exist.
like when you're playing Pandemic Inc. and like you pop in the blue bubbles, but you want those blue bubbles in this situation, which is actually really funny because it's like a smartphone game. I think there's also a version on Steam, and basically you make diseases to basically like kill off the entire world. But in 2020 here, they released, and you have to fight against the cure, against people developing a cure for your disease that you made. But in 2020, they released a game mode where you are the humans curing the disease.
All right.
Which I thought was cool. And you have to fight against like lockdown protesters and stuff.
Dude, this is a grim game.
Oh yeah, it is. But it's more of just a strategy game.
Sure,
essentially,
okay.
with a world skin on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we just finished The Mandalorian Season 2 as of like half an hour ago.
Yeah.
We have so many thoughts and opinions on it. We're already at 15 minutes, but we're
gonna keep
we're
going.
gonna try to jam as much in here as possible.
Okay, go.
So, in the beginning, absolutely incredible way to start a season. Like with Cobb Vanth at Tatooine with the Mandalorian. They're in like the old west of village, and then you're helping out the local sheriff. You're defeating the beast with help of the Tusken Raiders, who are like, I mean, the analog of the First Nations. And
oh my goodness, was that season 2 or was that season 1?
that was season 1, episode 1. And then you have like Boba's armor introduced, and Cobb Vanth, who was an awesome character. And then like that whole episode was so cool because it's like, this isn't about just like, you know, shooting stormtroopers or the bad guys. It was like, we have this giant crate dragon, this giant monster to defeat, and it was so cool. And then episode 2 was when Mando gets the contract or the job to ferry the frog lady and her eggs, and they crash on the ice planet. And
we
Baby
see
Yoda's just massacring.
Yeah, but we
eggs.
see a familiar face, which I thought was really cool. Appa from Kim's Convenience. He makes a cameo.
In the Rebels. Yeah, that was the first time he showed up. That was really cool.
So cool, yeah. And it's so different because, I mean, you know, we all know him as a Korean dad on national television, but, you know, he speaks with a Korean accent. But here, he's normal. He's talking like his normal self. And, like, obviously his voice register is different. And it's just, like, his acting is different. And I'm just like, this isn't the same Appa that I watch on Kim's Convenience. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. Do you know where The Mandalorian is filmed?
I have no idea.
Because it's so rare you see Canadian actors from, you know, relatively small shows. Like Kim's Convenience isn't big at all outside of Canada.
Isn't small.
It's not big outside of Canada though. Like I don't think many Americans know about it.
I think
besides like in the Asian American community, it's very very much.
I mean, I don't quite know the scope of it, but I have a feeling that it's in the similar lines as Schitt's Creek, where it got picked up by other American networks, right? And
right, and it's a very similar show too.
Yeah, and I think
a lot of the
those
shows fill that kind of role.
Yeah,
but again, those shows are all never that successful. They're not I guess Friends wasn't super big in its day, but it became more popular afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's not like an Office or a Friends. But it's an amazing show and everyone should watch it. And we've talked about it before. But anyway, this is the episode where they crash land and then there's like those really creepy ice spider octopus squid things. That is such a good episode because it's like an episode based on like survival, and
it's pretty cool.
Again, not just shooting the bad guys, but like trying to survive and like get off this planet. And then you have like the moment with the rebels when they pull him over in the Razor Crest, and they're like, "ID, please." And he's like, "Oh, crap." Next episode this is the episode they get to the water planet. They finish delivering the woman to her husband with the eggs, and a lot of them are missing thanks to Baby Yoda because he was just going ham on that protein. But
he was hungry.
This is where Mando meets the other Mandalorians. There was 3. Not sure where the third one went.
The dude.
Now that I'm talking. Yeah. Now that I mention it, what happened to him? Because he's not there later in the season.
I don't know.
Well, whatever. So Bo-Katan and someone else.
Casca.
Not important. Bo-Katan.
She's important. Her name's Casca.
Maybe she was in Star Wars Rebels where Bo-Katan made an appearance, but I don't really remember.
Okay, anyway.
Anyway, yeah, so she's in previous Star Wars lore, played by Katie Sackhoff, who is like a titan in TV sci-fi. So that was a really cool to see, and she does a really good job. But yeah, that was the first time we see Mando meet other Mandalorians.
Well, actual, I guess,
and actual
genetic Mandalorians, because he's not.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all the same. Like, if you move to a country and grow up there, are you not of that country? So it was cool because here's a like average Mandalorian who's not a part of the weird religious sect that he is a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes, because that's like the first ones he meets that aren't in his sect, and it's really cool to see him realize, like, well, maybe I don't know everything, or maybe what I follow isn't.
Well, I think he just meets like the first kind of like religious challenge, almost, that he never really had to face because he was so sheltered in that way that he just thought that the Mandalorians were his quote unquote tribe, right? Like the people he grew up with that actually like adopted him into their religious ways, I guess. Right.
But also I see it as he does have a challenge of faith, because he's like, why would I not know that most Mandalorians are like this and not like me, when, like, why was that knowledge never mentioned or hidden from me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very...
Well, it definitely has real
is
life...
auspicious the right word? I don't know what that means.
I just think that it has definitely has real life parallels too, obviously. I mean, this is obviously not the place to talk about it, but basically people who are deconstructing their faith and who are on that journey of like learning more about who they are outside of like an evangelical lens, say. You know what I mean? So anyways, that is just like a whole load of BS to a lot of people, but that's how I saw it as that, there's these people who have deconstructed their, like, I guess their upbringing, and who actually are just like, there are better ways, or this is how things should be done. And you're killing yourself by not, i.e. taking off your helmet ever in public. You know what I mean? And so he really, again, that's sort of like the challenge he faces, and he really grows into that. And at the same time, you do see that it's for him, because spoiler alert, he does take off his helmet, right?
But I mean, he did in season 1.
Yes, but that was for his health, and he was forced to do that by the droid, right? Mm-hmm. But here in this season, he does it all for his cause, which was his child. And I think he started to deconstruct his
what's
own
more important to him in
background.
life.
Exactly. And he has a different priority now than just upholding the ways of Mandalore, right?
Than zealotry, really.
Right, exactly. And so I think that was really important to point out. But it also, like, throughout just like this season, the second season, you just see this kind of like, I guess, he grows as an individual through his like fatherhood, I guess, but not quite fatherhood, I guess.
Basically.
Yeah, but
he is
like
the caregiver of
a
creature.
But yeah, no, it's just like the way he grows, and just that theme of like parent and child, and like that bond, that was kind of cool. And that you don't have to even be the same species to like love someone else, like you just, when you grow an attachment to someone, you like give yourself up for them, and that's kind of cool. So that was really cool to witness.
But also, expanding on what I was saying, is when he meets the other Mandalorians, it's kind of the start of him being more of himself and giving more to what he loves, because he's like, oh, these are actual, like, Mandalorian. So if I call myself a Mandalorian, it doesn't mean what I thought it meant. And if I'm not a Mandalorian like most Mandalorians, if I'm not the average Mandalorian or like the default Mandalorian, then what am I, kind of a thing. And I guess for me, when I saw it, it was kind of like him having to confront that and also maybe move on a bit, because he realizes that his identity is kind of a lie. But that was what I got of it. So many people get so many things. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next episode that I can remember is the one with Carl Weathers and the reintroduction of Cara Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Was Carl Weathers in season 1?
Yes.
Oh.
He was the first one who gave him the mission to...
Oh, right. With, what's his
face? To fetch
face?
the child.
I don't remember the actor. But anyway, the little alien guy with the reptile horses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember his name, and that's going to bug me for a while.
Anyway,
so Carl Weathers and Cara Dune come back,
mm-hmm.
which is really cool to see. They are taking care of a village. They're doing really well at it,
mm-hmm.
and they have another job for Mando to repair his ship, because Mando has to go. So he was told by the Mandalorians to take the child to a Jedi that they know is on a planet somewhere. And in order to get there, his ship's really beat up. He has to fix it. He stops by them. They have a mission for him. Also, side note, this season is very much do a mission to do a thing, to do a mission to do a thing, to do a mission to do a thing. And I thought it was probably the weakest episode of the entire season, because we have the fish guy who's like a convict, and they're just working together to destroy that refinery base, and there just wasn't much to it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't, because like all the other episodes had like such a huge impact that this one was really lackluster and a bit of filler, which was kind of disappointing. So I don't think we really have to talk about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the next episode was he gets to a planet that's like all torn up by like fire. It's like it looks like the whole planet has been scorched, and there's like this one town with this one evil lady running it, and lo and behold, he meets the Jedi he was looking for, who was none other than Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano, which was awesome
great
to see,
yeah.
if not underwhelming fight scenes, because those were whack.
Really?
Ahsoka's fight scenes was so bizarre.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, but I guess knowing what I know, because like I watched like basically all of Clone Wars and then a bunch of Rebels, like it was so weird to see Ahsoka not just like doing a weird bad job at like using her lightsabers compared to, I guess, her previous experiences, but also at the very end, spoiler alert, she gets in a duel with a lady with a Beskar steel spear, and she like basically loses, and it's just so bizarre because Ahsoka Tano's like such a powerful Jedi, and just like losing to like some rando is so crazy, because she's done so much crazy stuff in canon that it was just really, really weird to see. And then like I thought the duel with Mando in the street with her henchman was really cool, when he tries to deceive Mando, and Mando's just like,
just kidding,
I see you.
Bye.
I know your tricks. I know them. Bye. And I think it was just really nice interactions between, we find out Baby Yoda's name is Grogu, so between Grogu, Ahsoka Tano, and the Mandalorian. Din?
Yeah.
It was just really, really wholesome, I guess, is this episode. It's
It was
really
good.
wholesome, but also the most like, I think, a Japanese samurai movie. It was the like whole episode was just one big homage to it. I thought it was so cool, because I've been playing so much Ghost of Tsushima recently that I was just like, wow, this is exactly like Ghost of Tsushima, and it's an amazing game, and that was a good episode. I liked it a lot. Moving on. So after Ahsoka Tano refuses to train Grogu for some reason, Mando's like, what do I do? And she's like, take him to this planet so he'll use the Force telephone to call someone.
Call some other Jedi.
The Force pager to someone. So he goes there, and this is incredible because it's the first real appearance besides the cameo of Boba Fett back in, and Fennec, who apparently is his henchwoman now.
She wasn't dead.
Yeah, he saved her, and now she's like loyal to him, and they're such an awesome duo.
They really make a good team, though. Yeah, so.
And they actually started off a little bit antagonistic towards Mando, but then they work together when Imperials show up, and while Grogu is using the Force pager, they have to protect him. And I thought it was such a cool time because we got to see Boba Fett in action, like basically for the first time ever, that he actually is doing something, because his only like action appearance in Return of the Jedi is at Jabba's barge, where he just like gets completely fooled. And it was really sad to see from the like galaxy's greatest bounty hunter. So it was really cool to see him kick a lot of butt, and Fennec was awesome, Mando was awesome, and you got to see this really cool fight with really cool terrain, like elevation and rocks, and I thought it was really, really cool. I don't care that stormtroopers miss all the time. A lot of people have a lot of...
Well, that's what the director said, to miss.
Yes, you are right. But a lot of people don't like that they appear so incompetent, but I'm like, whatever. It's a movie about people in space shooting things. And like
there's a lot of improbable things here. Yeah.
There's the like, who cares?
Yeah.
Why would you want to see your main characters hurt? Like,
yeah.
Even though Mando has a bulletproof, laser-proof Beskar steel armor, nothing is ever easy for him. Like, every fight is still, just because he won't die from that doesn't mean there's another risk. Like when he's with Bill Burr on top of the transport truck, like he's like fighting to stay alive even though he can't get hurt by the lasers. Like he's trying not to fall off, trying not to get blown up. Like there's just so many other reasons, and it's a cool way to make your main character like feel more powerful but not overpowered, because there are ways to defeat him, and basically every fight has someone, kind of getting close to killing him.
Well, but
the stakes
exactly.
Still feel
He always finds himself in situations where he's actually he's backed into a corner all the time, and it's not just about his suit. I mean, obviously, yes, that does help, that he's virtually unkillable in that way, but it's also like, can you just imagine all the concussions he's had when the dark troopers one of them like started pummeling him in the head, and even though the steel wasn't giving way, like, yeah, you're still getting pounded in the head, dude. Like, can you imagine how much brain damage this dude has had sustained over the years?
Just because it doesn't do outside damage when you're punched in your armor doesn't mean your insides are okay. Yeah. But also what I wanted to say is a lot of those fights and situations he finds himself in isn't necessarily him versus the other guy. It's there's a different reason. Like, he has to do this thing, but like these guys are in his way and they're trying to stop him from doing it, just trying to like delay him. Like when they're trying to blow up the ship, like, him surviving the fight wasn't really the factor of the fight. It was him just trying to stop them from blowing it up, really.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really life or death. It was just like there was a goal. It felt kind of video gamey, but in a really good way. And we also got to see the redemption of Bill Burr in that episode, which was really cool. And Boba and Fennec joined the crew, which was really cool.
Yeah, because they were indebted to him.
Yeah.
So that was really neat.
So that's kind of it for that episode, though.
Yeah.
Oh, also, back to the episode where Baby Yoda was on the space pager. First appearance of the Dark Troopers, which were so cool. I was a huge fan right from the beginning because every single shot of them is just so cool.
They were pretty cool, actually.
And their EDM soundtrack is awesome. You'd love to see it. You would have never thought of it from Star Wars, but it's so cool.
Is there badass?
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And everything they do is just like, they're the ultimate like badasses.
Okay, well, the last episode, I think.
I think there's 2 more episodes. Well, I don't remember what happened in it, so it probably wasn't important. We'll just go to the last episode. Oh, Baby Yoda gets taken, and then that leads into the last episode.
Yes.
Right. So this was, how would you rank it out of Mandalorian episodes? For me, it was my favorite. It was insanely good.
It was really good. I think it was all, and I kept saying this as we were watching the episode, it was all like just badass women working together from all walks of life. They're not all affiliated beforehand. And, you know,
the Mandalorians came back.
Well, but also not even that. It's also just, well, yes, the Mandalorians came back, but it's also just the fact that like none of them, and I said this before, like none of them had like their moral compasses didn't necessarily align together, but because they had a common goal and their lives have all been touched by like the Mandalorian in one way or another, right? That's what united them, and they had that mutual respect for each other, and that's what I really liked. They weren't trying to tear each other down. They just because, oh, you don't believe what I believe, or you're not as bad as I am. It wasn't even that. It was just like, oh, you're a good warrior. I respect that, and like I will fight with you. And I thought that was really, really freaking awesome. And like 4 women, and they were like the freaking squad, man.
Yeah,
like
they
were
really cool.
Really good. Like they barged their way into like the freaking like the what is it? The
Star
light
Destroyer?
light cruiser is what they called it. The light cruiser. And you know, that was so cool. And they took the bridge, and
cool.
and I'm just like, wow, good for
Watching
you guys.
them go through the ship.
Yeah,
and, like,
that was so
progress
epic.
was really, really
cool. That was
cool.
really epic.
But it was so cool before that when they first went to the Mandalorians for help, because we got to see 2 Mandalorians from the squad, from Bo-Katan and her friend.
And Casca.
And then we got to see Mandalorian and Boba Fett all standing there in their Mandalorian armor, all like
together.
We're all Mandalorians, but we're all different. Because Boba Fett's like a bounty hunter, and he's like does his own thing.
Wasn't he like Bo-Katan, where he's like born on Mandalore or something? Or was
Boba
that his
Fett?
dad?
I think his dad was a foundling in this. I think he said that.
Kind of like Din.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't see. I think the canon's been a lot. It's been all over the place throughout the years, but I think in this new Disney canon, they're just going to stick to this, where I think that was the reason, or that is the reason. But anyway, it was really cool because we get to see like Mando or Din. You know, he is who he is. We get to see Boba. He is who he is. And then we see the Mandalorians. They are who they are. And to see them all in a room was just so cool.
Cool,
it was such a cool way to start the last episode. And we got to see the Darksaber again and find out a bit more about it. It's always a pleasure to see because it's so cool. And we also got to see the Dark Troopers again, which was the best part of the episode, or second best part of the episode for me, was like when they're activated and then they're just like going crazy.
Yeah.
They're so cool. And then to cap it all off, we get treated to some of the most gooeyest, sweetest Star Wars gifts ever, which is Luke Skywalker returning and just destroying all the Dark Troopers.
And in that same vein, like cinematic vein that like Darth Vader did, right?
In Rogue One.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said, like while we were watching.
While
like,
he's
this
in
is
his
like
prime,
the same, because
massacre that
they're
like,
both
Darth
in their
Vader
prime,
did,
and they both entrance and just slaughter everything.
That was so sweet because I was just like, yeah, I got flashes of like Rogue One, and I was and even like the camera angles, I was just like, bro,
it was
the
really
callbacks
cool.
are so good.
I loved it because we haven't got to see this part of Luke where it's after Return of the Jedi, and it's in that long stasis before we get to see him in the end of The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, yeah.
There's so many adventures to tell and so much cool things.
No, it was really
and he
good.
returns. He takes Grogu away, which was really, really sad.
Yeah.
But there's no way that's going to stick. Grogu is going to be back with Mando pretty early on in season 3.
That's his family now, so.
Yeah, and also it's just such a huge marketing factor for Disney that it's just, come on.
Yeah, no, it was really sad, their parting, but it was just so nice. And again, with that whole, he took his helmet off for Grogu.
That was
when Grogu asked for him to take off the helmet, he was just like,
I want to see
all right,
you
buddy.
one last time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if
he's never seen him because
at
remember
nighttime
they
he
would
might have.
no, they slept in separate places. And
Yeah,
remember
but,
when
like,
they would
what if you
eat
have to
together?
get up to pee?
Like when they would eat together, he wouldn't even remove his helmet. Like he'd sip his drink from under the helmet. So like that was kind of that. Like he's only ever seen Mando with the helmet on, and this was the first time. And I just thought that was really, really cool.
It was so precious. It was like the most precious thing I've ever seen in my life.
So yeah, no, the Mando really, really grew up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, and again, just with his own priorities and just, I guess, his belief system really grew.
And what was your opinion on the appearance of Luke Skywalker? Because we were talking about this after, and they did a thing.
Honestly,
they CGI'd it.
I 50-50. So 50% of me was like, they are not gonna do the CGI thing, but then the other 50% of me is just like so
as it was building up and he was going through, we were just going back and forth. Like, is it gonna be CGI? Is it gonna be a person?
Because I mean, it wasn't that unlikely that they were gonna do that because they've done that before, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, with
Star Wars
Leia,
has been doing it all the time.
Yeah, and then obviously with reworking the Force ghosts or the Force spirits, whatever, into other characters, you know what I mean? Like was it Return of the Jedi where like Luke sees like his father and like Obi-Wan and Yoda as Force spirits.
Oh, but that was just Hayden Christensen. It wasn't a de-aging from the...
No, but that's what I mean. As like it started with that, and then like it's a de-aging thing and then like I can't remember which movie it was where I think it was Rogue One where they used
it twice.
CGI of Leia
and
when she receives the message. I don't know the other one.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yes, that's right. No, it's the same guy. Isn't it the same guy?
What?
Is he still alive? I don't know.
What?
Way,
the same guy as who?
Who acted in the original movies?
Yeah. Well, no. He
it's
passed.
Just a body
Peter
double.
Cushing
passed. Okay.
So they CGI'd him.
Right.
And they also CGI'd Leia, which
right.
both look...
Mind you, she was the younger Leia, right? So it made sense in that regard. But, I mean, and then obviously, it's just kind of... So I figured they would CGI Luke Skywalker, but like...
It would have been
there
so
are
cool.
Actors, though.
I know, because it would have been so cool to get a different actor, because that would mean that he would be more episodes and you'd see more of him. But if they CGI him, I mean, getting
There's
Mark
less use of
Hamill
him,
and
yeah.
having to pay him and then also CGIing it is such a huge price tag. Like, it'll never happen besides very few moments. So I really wished it would have been like Sebastian Stan, like we were talking about, who everyone thinks looks exactly like Luke Skywalker, and I agree, he does. It would have been so cool if he would have been in the show as Luke Skywalker.
Don't get me wrong, a lot of this is obviously to pull at your heartstrings, right? Especially for longtime fans.
But what's the difference if it's just like CGI over the actor? I mean, what's the difference?
I think there's just...
I feel like it's too much of a dissociation.
Maybe this is just me. I just feel like it's just for nostalgia's sake, right? I feel super nostalgic when stuff like that happens. Like, especially when... even though it was so obvious that Leia was... like, her face was CGI, right? In Rogue One. I was still so like, oh my god, it's Leia! She's receiving the message! And then, like, freaking cried. So, yeah, like, I don't know. That's the intended effect. It's not supposed to be like some like profound kind of like, yes, this is the start of like Luke's other adventures in this franchise and stuff like that. No, it's just to pull at your heartstrings. Like, again, with him coming full circle with, him seeing his master Yoda die, and then all of a sudden meeting another of his species and getting to train this little boy, like little guy, I guess. I don't know. But like that's the full circle moment for him. And that would have been like the nostalgic part for people who've been long time Star Wars fans and being like, oh my God, he gets to train Grogu.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And it's not necessarily to launch another franchise or show, I guess.
But I just think, and this is very much a personal level because I think the only person who agrees with me on this. It's just that my personal preference is that I get really not just weirded out, but like also kind of like, why really?
It is kind of weird.
No, whenever I see CGI
faces.
Yeah,
it is kind of weird. Because it's so expressionless.
Which is so funny because, well, also the expressions are so wrong, and it really bugs me. But Peter Cushing, I feel, had the best representation of being a CGI face in Star Wars.
But that's how he acted, though, right? It was kind of just like stiff because that was his time.
Well, no, it was still the micro expressions that they nailed it. Okay. But Leia at the end of Rogue One was one of the most horrendous CGI works I've ever seen. It was so bad. One sec. And it's so funny because I've never met someone who's like, liked or didn't mind Grand Moff Tarkin's CGI, but also didn't like Leia's, because everyone was fine with Leia's, but everyone hated Tarkin's. But I'm the opposite, where I was fine with Tarkin's, but I like really, really, really didn't like Leia's. And then also with this one, with Luke, I really, really didn't like it. It's just not good enough. I think it's still not the technology.
Well, I mean,
CGI
has a long way to go, I guess, right? But it's definitely come a long way. Like just comparing what I remember of Leia's CGI face versus Luke's now, definitely Luke's now is much better than that. Because when did Rogue One come out? Like
2016.
Yeah. So it's come a long way in that 4 years. Sorry, 4 years. So yeah, no.
But that was a movie that was released in theaters. It was a very big deal. This is a TV show.
Yeah. Either way, I think that as far as the technology has come, it still has some way to go to actually recreate a face and for it to not kind of like be weird, you know? But I think a lot of our opinions on that too, though, is the fact that we've seen these people age. Like we've seen Leia and Luke, like their actors age, you know?
So?
Like obviously
this is when they're young now.
Yeah, I know, but just seeing them like in a new quote unquote like show in present time,
as young
again, like yeah, that is gonna be weird, absolutely. And you are gonna see that their faces are a lot more fake, whereas with Grand Moff Tarkin, we never really saw him age. I mean, I've never seen this Peter guy in other movies besides Star Wars.
This
like
Peter guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
So I just didn't find his CGI face as weird as, say, Luke or Leia, you know, because I've never seen him age, really.
For me, it's almost always has to do with...
Your phone again.
That's crazy. It's not even near us, but it's so loud. For me, it's the second that, like, when they're stationary, pretty fine. Even when they make expressions... pretty good.
Sure.
But as soon as a word comes out and the lips move, it's always so wrong. It feels exactly like a video game. Like
that's right.
The lips never match
move,
up. Like playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man PS4, every single game with good graphics, just the mouths are always insanely out of sync, but also not making the right words. And I feel like every single time they do CGI faces in movies, they also fail so badly at that. And that's the biggest problem I have with it. Anyway, we are so over time right now, so if you want to say one last thing, go ahead, but we're like at 52 minutes. That was a long rant about The Mandalorian. We'll have more movie and maybe TV talk next week, because we did watch a whole series in the meantime. So, have a good night. We'll catch you up next time.
Bye.
Bye.